Hi everybody, and welcome to a new video. Today I'm going to be polishing up the room from my game Dungeon Marauder, and you'll see the room that I've been working on. I'm gonna switch to it right now. This is the room that I've been working on for a while now, and for the last couple of videos I've been polishing kind of one prop at a time. I'm at a point right now where I want to figure out the colors and the layout of the whole room. So kind of finish those up. So I'll probably be making some changes to this document, but I'm going to start with figuring out what the colors of the walls should be like and what the floor should be like. There's a bit of rework that I need to do on the floor. That was kind of a temporary thing dropped in there. And now I need to figure out what it actually needs to look like. So let's get started. I'm going to first start planning up the walls. So I might gradually turn off or disable a few of the props to see what I'm staring at behind. This might be sufficient, but go ahead and disable them all. I'll leave the carpet in place, that shouldn't be a blocker. Disable the bed. And now really I just have the room and the ground to work with. So what I also want to do is enable the grid that I have here just to see what I actually have in the scene. So one thing that I want to do right away is I need this wall to be probably 4 tiles high. Right now, if you look back at the bookshelf, it's not too short. If I cut off the wall there, it probably wouldn't be the end of the world. So maybe we'll try with that. Let's still add another 25 pixels on the, and this is something that is not easily done in Pixaki. I need to make sure that I'm expanding to 350, and then I still have 475 on the width, so it's not very precise. It doesn't snap. Sometimes it could be really frustrating to try to achieve, but there you go, I got it. Okay, and now go back in there, and just for the purposes of this presentation, I'll make this green, even though it will change in seconds, but just to have it. Oh, and it shouldn't be a circle. There you go. So that's the new wall. The other thing that I should consider is that really here, all this part, it will be on the other side, on the left side of the wall, so I should crop that now and make sure I'm doing this right. Cool. So this is gonna be my actual wall, and one thing that I need to do, if I make it 3 tall, then this part here would already be the kind of the outside or the top of the wall. So I'll make that black at first. Make sure I'm going over the right pixels. And I went all the way down. Yep. Cool. And I wanted to also make sure it lined up with the other side. But, so that's like that. And then I also need to make start planning the top, which I have. The way I've done it in the rest of the game is that I have this really thin. I brought it in here as a demonstration. I have this really thin piece, this part, that goes at the top, and it's, I think, 5 pixels. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 actually. 6 pixels wide. I'll disable that, go back to my layer here, and paste that in. Even though I'm not gonna use that same one, I'll make one that's kind of like a wood color, and it's just slightly different. I just want to have it there for a block out, and even, to prove my point, I'll paint over it right now. Um, I'll just leave a corner of it just to remind myself what it looked like, but that's just the space for it right now. And this main piece, I think I want to, what you see right here in green, this part, I'm gonna split this into 3. So this should be kind of 2/3 of one color and 1/3 of another color. I want to go for a medieval wall that kind of has like rock at the bottom and then stucco on top. So to do that, I just need to pick a kind of bluish dark gray probably, and we'll see. I should probably put on the grid to really nail the 2/3 that I'm talking about. So if I start with that, and we should probably disable the bookcase, but just so I can see better what's happening behind it. But I can also just cut this afterwards. Beat to the edge. All right. Yeah, and actually, let's disable the bookcase right now because I don't need to see it. All right, so I have no idea what this looks like. I should check it out. We may or may not change this color, or like I'm thinking make it darker. Maybe let's experiment with that right now. To be more of a contrast with what will be the floor color and the stucco part. So actually let's figure that out as well. That I want, you know, like a pale yellow, more towards white. This may read a little bit too saturated right now, so let's decrease the saturation. Maybe make it darker as well. Let's give that a try. Oh, and I forgot one dot over there. Bring back the saturation. And I do, you know, I will eventually put scuff marks and whatnot on these, but I'm looking at the reference of an exterior of a house, a medieval house. So I just kind of want to try to get it closer to that. Let's see. Okay. So for that, let's maybe lighten up the bottom now. Just a tad. Okay. And before I go about, you know, doing this everywhere, I want to make sure that I actually like this in the composition. So what I really want to compare it against is the floor. So I'm going to do a couple of things. First of all, I know that I'm not keeping this floor, so I'm going to start doing some destructive things. First, I'm going to crop it so that it's really just the parts that show up. Even though that's not necessary because it's hidden, I do want to eventually export these individual pieces as modular pieces, and the more modular they are, the better. It'll take up less texture space. So in order to do that, I'm just gonna start early with the cropping. Alright, and the last part should be here, if there even is anything there, and possibly in this corner here. Okay, yeah, so now you can even see in the little thumbnail here on the side that it's significantly smaller. and let's figure out what color I want for that. So from the beginning we have this kind of blue that, and let's pick that up actually, that goes through the rest of the game, through all the pseudo randomly generated rooms that we have right now. So I'll make a new layer, and let's see what happens if I just drop that color. Will 99% change that, but if I have a shape in place, I can just then color paste or paint bucket drop, sorry, the new color on top of it, and I can more easily play around with the whatever colors I need for this. So it's really just a blocking color right now. I could have done it with black if I wanted to. It wouldn't have made a difference. But this seemed as good of a color as any to start with. Try to make sure I didn't go overboard with that. Okay, cool. And now I can compare to see if I need that or not. Another thing that I need to do is this black piece. This is supposed to be, what's outside the room, and I think what I'm gonna do is merge this and start applying it to everything, just so I don't need to see the things that are happening behind it. Right, and then I'll draw back on top of the black where I have those little corners like I was talking about at the top. Basically what you see out of the walls when you have this isometric view. One little pixel. Okay, then one, can't see the edge, there you go. A little horizontal one that goes all that, there you go. Yeah, I wish there was some sort of better automatic snapping, kind of the software reading my mind. I believe, if I were to keep the same height of these walls on this area, these walls on that area, I would have to go taller with that. So I might as well update the document right now, because I know I need another 25 pixels here. So it should be 375. And again, I wish that had some sort of snapping. But oh, hi, welcome to the stream. Please, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Alright, so adding this black portion, at least here, that I covered. Actually, I'll just undo that because I know right now that I want that part to be the wall, so I'll just do it right now. I'm still not committed to the colors, and that should be on a different layer. But maybe if I flood everything, I'll have an easier time deciding. And here I'm gonna have to do a little trick because I can't eyeball that part. So I'm just gonna put that there. Okay. That should help me. Okay, now I can delete that. No, not merge. Undo that and delete. Cool. And one more piece. I need to delete this part since it will be covered by the wall. And that should have been darkened. And then, yes, again, this part. Although I will go in a second to go with black over it. 475, 375. Do I have a pixel at the bottom? I think I might have messed up the document a little bit. We'll find out in a second. Okay. Let's 374, yeah, I did. So I added the pixel at the bottom when I shouldn't have. Oh, so close. 375. Huh. Okay. No, it's still at the bottom. I don't understand. Okay, there you go. Cool, that seems about right. Alright, so as I was saying earlier, I now need to spend a little bit of time. Okay, that can stay hidden. Spend a little bit of time figuring out if this is the right color scheme that I want to use. So I want to see a few other things, because I do similar to the stucco exterior wall from these references of medieval houses. I want to have some strong wood holding the corners in place. So to do that, I'll pick a dark brown and figure out how wide I want to go with those and put them in the corners. So let's see, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That looks pretty thick. We'll give that a try. And it is a bit too saturated, so I'll reduce that a bit. So if it is 5 there, maybe 5 is too much, because the way I'd imagine this would be is that it would actually be in the wall. So I'm not entirely sure how it would look here. I'd expect it to maybe be 2 on one side and 2 on one side, so that's why I made it 4. That way it's kind of down the middle. We'll give that a try and see what it looks like. And I do, or how about we add an extra pixel here, and let's see what it looks like, or 2 extra pixels probably. 1 here, and the 1 here. Yes, this would be in the wall. Maybe it'd be significantly thinner on that side. That kind of makes sense. But this being an exterior interior wall. Alright. I'm still not happy with the color, so desaturate that a bit. Maybe darker. Okay, that's much better. Nope. Paint bucket on it, and this should have a top piece and a bottom piece, and I'll try to make these. Is this 1 pixel? I don't have a lot of space here, so I'm gonna have to make with just a few pixels. I want a rectangle. Probably too big. Let's try that. No, I could go bigger. And then 1 other darker rectangle. maybe much darker rectangle at the bottom. And based on what I was saying earlier, since you only see half of it, I imagine these being actually a lot bigger. Okay, and the way I'm gonna do it is that I'll draw a shape right on top of it, move it, and then duplicate it. Did I not duplicate it? Duplicate it. Merge that and copy that. Just make sure it's at the right height. No, this is actually too tall here compared to the bottom. So erase those pixels and make those that color. Sweet. Move this again. This would be this bottom here. And perfect. Now it looks symmetrical. Move that at the top. And I imagine it would be the same color as this. Great. As a little test, let's see how much of the furniture actually covers that. That's quite a bit. And then we have the bed, actually one more shelf on that wall. We have this shelf. And there's also the bed. Right, now that I see these, I think, the shapes that I made are the right size. They're not too big or too small. Seem fine to me. If anything, maybe the load-bearing pieces are too thin, but should be good. It just needs to present the idea. It doesn't need to actually hold up the walls. Alright, going back to this layer. Merge that, and we also need maybe one other rectangle going this way. It's kind of the top piece. And then, this will unite with this one. So this is, even though I actually will not be doing them on the same layer, because that's a separate piece that will get modularized, if you will. So I'll keep that a separate layer. Alright, now to go back to the walls and see, am I happy with the color scheme? This is perhaps where, I know I keep toggling layers back on and off, but I do need to see everything else that's in the room, since, I kind of committed to those before. I can delete this shape, I don't need it anymore. I drew the bed already. That's the carpet, I'll keep that in. That's where I wanted blockers, I'll keep that in for now. I don't need to see it, but I'll keep it in. This is the other little table, the little book, another piece of furniture, some more books, some props that actually don't need to be all in the same place they are, but and the character, and I think that's it. Okay, so now, now I kind of have a better idea of what is in my room and how I need to color the rest of the space. So one thing that sticks out is that I think the floor, even though I made it to mirror what we already have in the other rooms, I want to slightly adjust this color, and I wonder if I go for something like a pale teal rock. That is way too strong and does not look medieval. We'll try a different approach. Actually, let's pick that up again. Try going darker and less saturated. And it is getting a bit too close to the bottom of the wall where I was planning on putting the rock. But I do want the tiles to be darker. And I can do a kind of a two-tone where one of them is darker, one of them is lighter. I'm gonna look at some extra references to see. I wasn't committed to a particular color for the ground, and I think I'm paying the price for that. So let's try again with something dark. Okay, maybe going back and saturating it. Alright, I think that's getting closer to something interesting. Because if I have the ground very dark, and I wonder how does this compare to not this, but to this in terms of value. Let's see. So it's a trick that I use here. This color is 20% brightness, and this color is also 20% brightness. Wait, no, I didn't get the right. No, that's 31. Okay, so let's pick this color up again. Go to 31 here, or 30, close enough. Draw on top of that. So now I have the exact same value, just a totally different color. And maybe, maybe that's too light. Maybe not. 28, 29. Let's see, maybe 27. Alright, that seems good. What I want to do is now change the color of the wall piece here. I have to go darker with that so that it's bolder difference. And now you kind of see that it's coming together a little bit. To really take this to the finish line, I need to plan what the cross tile would look like. So I'm gonna make a new layer, do my one tile like that. That should be the right color. You shouldn't be able to see it. No, it's not the right color. No, because that makes sense. I just changed it. Okay, and now I need to figure out what. Oh, I'm gonna make something really bold. Undo that. Need to be a separate layer. I'll make something really bold just so I can trace it. But as I disable this, I can see now, what does the offset tile need to look like. So pick up this color, desaturate it, go brighter, and we'll see how much brighter. Oh, there you go. And just to prove a point, what I'm trying to do here is maybe I should make a small pattern just so this is even clearer. Not too many, because then I'd have to fix them all, but that's not correctly offset. So the reason why I'm doing this is that my game, is entirely grid based. It needs a grid to be communicated to the player. So what I had before with the tiles, where it looked, the wood flooring, well, it looked cool. It wasn't accurate to the game, so you couldn't really tell where you were, like where you would go on a straight line or not. And I could do that with with the more wood tile pattern, but I also wanted to make this just significantly darker overall. So I figured I'd try with a different shape. I should have left these so I can cut them easily. Okay. Right on. I now have a bigger pattern that I can work with and see if, is this the dark side of it I'm satisfied with, but the light one, does that need to be darker? Yeah, and I think I actually found the winning hue. Maybe a little darker, because what I'm looking at right now is that I don't want it to be in conflict with the wall too much. So let's undo that. Just make it slightly darker and maybe a little bit more saturated. Great. And keep in mind I'm going to add highlights and detailing on it, so it'll look slightly different, but it's just a good starting point, I think. And yeah, and is it too similar to the pattern that's in the rest of the game? I don't think so. It's still a grid, but we'll see. Once it gets more detailed, I can also change the hue and saturation a bit more after that. So to start blocking this, I'm gonna have to disable the furniture again to be able to apply this on the whole area. And first I need to move it in the right place, which is here. Disable all my furniture layers. It'd be great to have some quick actions and be able to group these folders or whatnot, but I still appreciate the luxury of being able to do this from my iPad, so it's not yet a deal breaker. It could be, but it's not. Great. Trying to put down the pattern. Okay. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay, copy that. And you might already see it happening, but now my pattern is going off the page and going on top of things that it shouldn't be on top of, and we will crop it in a second, but it's just easier to fill up the space like this, since Pixhockey doesn't really have any tiling features as far as I'm aware, so you have to do this by hand. Okay, place that. That's everything. Duplicate that layer. And great. I guess I need one more dupe. Make sure I line up the colors correctly, and that is it. Now, of course, I need to do the work to crop it again, but that shouldn't be too bad. So cut this out here. And this is just me being, more detail oriented. This is not a necessary step, at the moment at least. But I want to make sure that I don't have any surprises later, so I'll just cut all the shapes right now. And it's more in terms of the gameplay that I'm concerned about. I want the floor to communicate where you can and cannot go, since the character can only move left, right, up, down, and not diagonally. So the straight lines matter a lot for the character. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. And again, I'll keep this is what it used to be, and this is what it is now. Alright. Cool, I think this is a good point to kind of move on from the flooring. Just to see, there's still aspects of the walls that need attention. So I'm gonna go to that. One part is that this layer is slightly in the back, so even though I'm gonna give it the same, let's see if we do a copy paste of that, or a duplicate maybe, move that side, and I'll just cut the rest. I don't need that. And since this is symmetrical, I can just flip it. Okay, one interesting thing I noticed is that this wall is slightly taller. And I'm not sure how that happened. Well, first, let's make sure this is halfway through. Yeah, something happened here. And I can't tell which one is right. But let's do a bit of exploration. So if I draw a 1, 2, this is going to be frustrating, but I have to do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Okay, so the good news is that one, the bottom one, was correct. This one's too tall. The reason why I know that is because there should be 25 pixels there. Okay. Cool. Great. I can now delete. Is it this layer? I don't know where I drew the white line. Maybe this one? Nope, this one. Yep. Okay. Cool. Alright, so back to business. I have that over there, and even as you notice, it's going on top of the one that should be on top of it. So I'll just cut that out. And really everything like that, because you still want to see the bottom part. One thing that I might do just now is to put a layer on top of it, maybe with slightly lighter. Let's pick up this brown and make a darker version of it, just a super dark version of it, with the square. Okay. So what I'm doing here is that I'm making the one that's receding, making it a darker color. There you go, just maybe 40% or 35%. Just enough so it's a little noticeable that's behind it. And I probably should have done the other side before I started murdering the space, but I guess I could always draw it back, so. There, like that. And then all the way down and erase this part. Actually, it's similarly here. This needs to go, because that's going to be cropped by the exterior wall, or the top wall. And I'll probably get to that today, so you'll see in a bit what I'm talking about. Okay. Right, so the back wall has a little bit more to it as well. I do remember that I had a door there at some point, because that is the character's goal in this tutorial level, to get the door. I'm turning back all the furniture, and I unfortunately there's no quick way to do this, so I have to go for the layers one by one, and at this stage I'll need to do this a lot to plan out the space, so I'm gonna do it. These can move. I think there was a blocker here at some point, so maybe I'll put them here. I don't remember exactly, so I'll have to check the design part. Which layer was this? Okay, it wasn't all the way, but that's not bad. As a matter of fact, I think this can go, it doesn't need to be so close to the bed. It could go take up a bit more on that side. Okay, because I think that, that suggests to the player that they can't go between the bed and that little box there. I don't think anyone would try that, but there you go. Sweet. So the player starts on this rectangle here. Great, and they have to go. Cool. What I can do next is block out the overall shape of the door, even though I'm not gonna draw it right now. At least I don't think I will get to it today, but I can block it in a bit more. I'll put that on a separate layer, and I do know that I want the door to be at most occupying, oh no, it's not a rectangle, occupying this space. That's at most. And maybe make it slightly darker, just so I don't think that I don't need to take up all that space. So I'm probably gonna make something inside it, and actually just to make it clear that I don't want to use that entire space, I'll make a black, but that's the block out for where the door will go. And I think what that door will be really would be like an open staircase that you can't really see into. But yeah, because this really is a tutorial level for the game, and it's really about the character learning how to move. So I'll leave that like that, and now I can, since I have everything in here, I can play a bit more with the with other shapes that I have in the room. But before I do that, let's finish up the edge of basically with the top edge. So I thought I had that on a separate layer here. I think I did not. No, I did not. Alright, let's put a new layer in place. Copy that shape and delete it, or make it black on the square underneath it. Alright, and that doesn't need to be that bright. That was just a early prototype. Oh, new person, welcome to the stream. I know there's been other people that have come in and out, but I didn't get a chance to stop talking to thank them. I'll tell you what I tell everyone else. If you have questions, please ask and be happy to answer. Alright, so yeah, that's the top, what I imagine the top of the wood piece would look like, and kind of what closes off the room. And I need a dupe of that on this side and rotate it so that I can plan out the corners. So I imagine, you know, this would get all the way here. And then this will be like that, but maybe, you know, maybe these corner pixels are darker, just so it looks kind of cool. Yeah, great. Okay, and I will just replicate that everywhere. I don't need to spend time detailing it right now. I don't know what I'm doing with it yet, but I just want to have the base color in place. And, you know, as you can see, like, I try to, even, you know, this is a tutorial level, so I consider it really important, in the sense that, you know, I want everything to be, not that the art needs to be fantastic, although I hope it turns out good, but the gameplay information, I want that to be super clear and to the point of what, you know, what does the player need to do here. So for that to happen, I need to make sure that that the color palette I choose for different segments is, first of all, you know, not too bright, and like the most of the level doesn't need to attract attention to itself, right? Only certain things need to read, you know, like you see the saturated piece of wood and props around the room. Those are brighter and more saturated compared to the floor, and maybe the carpet will go darker, but maybe the floor and the carpets, because I'll add another one, will be a bit more subdued, so that, you know, the player can focus on the blockers and what's standing between them and the exit. Because like I said, all they need to learn out of this level is how to move in this game. And, you know, most games don't have a movement tutorial, because it's usually pretty self-explanatory, but since I feel like this, you know, this mechanic is kind of weird and interesting, you need a safe environment to kind of get your grip with what happens when you press down, as it will not be quite what you expect. But then it also doesn't need to be complicated, right? I don't need to spoon feed the player on, hey, you know, you need to do this to move. I think, you know, just being in a safe environment where you can't really die, and trying to get from here to the door will be sufficient to inform the player, even without me telling them anything. But it'll be sufficient to inform them of how the player moves in this game. And I take it back what I was saying about the art. I do want the art to look really good in the first level, because I want, I want to give players a reason to stick around. Yeah, that's one reason why I don't have, just one modular set in the dungeons as well. I have one that's fully implemented and a second one that's kind of in progress. But there are different themes and different monsters, and even though there's a lot of random generation, it's also there's a lot of handcrafting that goes into individual challenges in the levels, and the traps have different mechanics and different timings, and the monsters, have different abilities. You, as a player, can gain different abilities. That's not all yet communicated in the trailer. That's part of what I need to do in the future. Once I have a bit more of the game implemented, I need to re-record some of the trailers that and images that I had put on Steam, just to clarify what the mechanics of the different characters in the game are. And when I say characters, I mean enemies. There's only one main character as of right now, and they can get all the abilities and all the items. There's no locking on that. There's also something that somebody asked a while ago on Reddit, I believe. They'd asked me about if anything's like level locked, or because they saw that it's kind of like an RPG where you can pick up things and whatnot. But no, there's no level locking. If you find an item, you can use it. Great. So that was way too thick. But yeah, I'm still drawing the exterior walls. I just want to kind of cap out the level. And I'm not sure, is this consistent thickness? 1, 2, do. Let's try that again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so it is 4. That's what I thought. I thought it was 6 wide. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. There you go. Alright, so it was a pixel extra there. I'll fix that in a second. But 1, 2, 3, 4. And I know this is slightly different than the previous videos that I've done, because those were more hands-on on detailing a particular prop. This is more kind of broad planning of what the space looks like. I think this is equally useful because, or honestly, for my scenario in particular, even more useful. Because as I figure out the colors for this space, I can then spend the next few days just detailing every single prop, and more easily decide on the color palette and something that clashes or doesn't clash with the environment depending on what the need is. as I'm looking at the pots, someone else had asked on Reddit if the environment has destructibles, right? And the answer is not currently. And especially, in the tutorial, you will not be able to destroy any props. So, there's really just, I think, a couple ways to get to the exit. And that's it for your options. But further in the levels, I don't see why, once you have a sword, I might add additional game logic and make some of the props destructible, because I think it could be fun and kind of introduces a new level design challenge that the player needs to overcome. So I can start putting breakables that you have to think about destroying. And my fear with that is that it needs to be like I've helped on ARPGs where one of the complaints from the players is that it's not clear what can be destroyed and what cannot. So that's always my fear about the game that has destructibles. Like, I need to be sure that I communicate to the players, like, hey, look here, you can smash this. So maybe that's very like gamey, or I just add particle effects on them, just like I added on the items. So it really screams at the player like, hey, pay attention, destroy this. Or I can find a common language where maybe all the wooden props are destructible, and I teach the player in one of the first levels after that gets introduced that you can smash in the wood things, and then just occasionally throw a wood barrel or whatnot. But then it means I need to stay away for anything that's not destructible. I need to stay away from using the wood material. So I'm still contemplating whether I want to do that or not. The actual implementation of it is relatively easy. From a coding point of view. And I think it would be fun to make a visual effect for that kind of breaking apart when you smash things. Alright, so even though I wasn't planning on doing any detailing, I'm just adding some highlights on this just so it looks slightly cooler. I got carried away. But cool, yeah, that's I think that's about it for the side. I will look at do I need this layer anymore? I do, because that's the black portion. I might not export that, but I need it right now for blending out the space. And it is considerably different than where I started this afternoon or this evening with. So I'm happy that I've made good progress on that. I will right now try just a little bit changing the base color of this wall, just slightly lighter. Alright, I think I'll have to put a bit more shadow at the bottom of that, just to have some contrast with the floor. But otherwise, the top wall looks good. Maybe I can attempt. I don't think I'll like it, but I'll try real quick to darken that a little bit. Actually, what do you know? Maybe it's not the end of the world. Because I will have, yeah, maybe I'll darken it a little bit more. I will have real-time lights here that will, overexpose everything. So maybe if the walls are darker, that's not such a bad thing. Great. And I want to change, since we're making large brush stroke adjustments to everything, I do want to change the color of this carpet, and possibly add another one. Um, let's see. I'm gonna go to slightly more saturated. That clashes way too much with the back. That kind of brings it back to where it was. What if these edges highlight the carpet a bit? Okay, I like the edges, I don't like the middle. Well, what happens if I make it green? Kind of to match the... Actually, I'm starting to like that. Perhaps a little bit more desaturated too. It's almost and lighter, almost gray. Let's see what happens if I have a slightly more saturated and lighter version of this on this other side. And I need to be careful here of what space I occupy, because a player will traverse this. But let's give that a try. So let's say the carpet goes on these 6. And then the edge that was a mistake there where I drew a double line, but I wanted to have some inconsistency anyway, so I'll keep that. Oh. Okay. Oh, and I drew some extra lines here. I'm not crazy about the carpet just yet, but we'll see. I might try desaturating this and going towards brown. Yeah, I think that looks a bit more monotone and more in line with the game, with the goal of the level here, not the game in general. Also, I think it's kind of weird that this carpet is, or this table is like at the edge of the carpet. Let's see if I move it down a little bit. What would that look like? It does kind of look like it frames the space a little bit too clearly for the player, but maybe that's not a bad thing. Because they can still walk on it. Or maybe that just means I need to add more carpets in places. Maybe one under the bed. Yeah, let's attempt that. Because I don't want it to seem like the player can't go to some places. So let's give that a try. It also adds more visual detail on the scene, in the scene. Okay, do that, and then on the inside, do that. That carpet actually looks kind of interesting there. Of course, we'll need to detail it, but yeah, maybe like a little rug at the door. And perhaps one that touches this one. I don't know why I didn't do the white one again first. That makes it easier. But okay, I think that actually adds a little bit more visual interest. As I detail the floor as the next step, I think that will definitely come into play, and the carpet themselves will have some patterns on the inside, so that's gonna change up the space too. But that said, I think this has improved a lot. I will conclude the video here, because the goal for today was to plan out more of what the overall space looks like and just the overall kind of broad shape colors, and then as the next step in the next video, whenever that will be, I'll be doing more detailing, and I'll probably choose the carpet as the next thing to detail, as well as kind of to list a few things that will be coming in the future. So I'll have to I need a pencil. I'll have to be detailing these carpets, all of them. I'll need to then detail the flooring, so that will probably take a little bit, because I'll want to make a few versions of both the color squares. Then I'll have to be doing a session for detailing the walls and these wood pieces on the walls. And then I also need to figure out what this is. So I have just the beginning piece here. I was thinking of putting like like a stove here or something. One of the references that I was looking at had like a cool little stove on the side, with the little chimney. So maybe I'll do something like that. I don't know. It just matters that the player can't go there. That's really the whole point. But yeah, and then probably one of the last things that I'll do is I need to add a bunch of little candles in places, and then that they'll shine light. So I'll need to figure out, I'll need to draw one first, and then I'll need to figure out where I put them. Probably need to figure out some places where the player can't go, like where, right here where I drew it. Maybe one on the table here, like I mentioned in the previous video. Maybe one in the corner here. And the way that I'm going to approach that is first to draw that, animate it probably separate, like a separate flame animation, and then implement this entire thing in Unity, light it there, put some lights where I think they belong, and then actually put the actual images of the candle. So the candle will be a separate file anyway, so that I can put it wherever I want in the document, and instead of putting it in this image, I'll be putting it in the game engine, so that it can be more more dynamic and be able to move them wherever I want. But yeah, that's it for today. Thank you everyone who joined the stream, and then if you're watching this on YouTube, thank you for watching. Yeah, and if you're interested in the game, you have it on the side there. You can see it. It's called Dungeon Marauder. There's a link on YouTube, and you can also just search on Steam for Dungeon Marauder, and you should be able to find the game. There should only be one result. Great, and I'll see you soon. Thank you very much. Bye for now. If you want more videos like this one, or have a question, please leave a message in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe.